China's trade surplus just hit an all-time high, fresh new record for December of 2021. What's up, everybody? My name is Joe Brown. This is Heresy Financial, and today we are going to talk about number one, what that means, and number two, depending on what they are selling and what they are getting in return, who is getting the raw end of the deal, China or the rest of the world. Ready? Let's dive in. Well, China just closed out a gangbusters 2021 with a massive record for their trade surplus in December. So number one, what is a trade surplus? Well, keep in mind, this is different than a budget surplus or a budget deficit. Budget just means you spent more or less than you made. If you spent more than you made, you had a budget deficit. If you spent less than you made, you had a budget surplus. Trade surpluses and deficits are the amounts that you trade with other trading partners. In this case, it's countries. So if a country has a trade surplus, that means they sold more to other countries than they bought from other countries. Similarly, if you have a trade deficit, that means you bought more from other countries than people bought from you. Breaking down the trade surplus or deficit even further, you've got bilateral versus multilateral. Bilateral means compared to just one country that is a trading partner versus the entire total. So what were the actual numbers? In December, China's trade surplus reached $94 billion, which was breaking the record of 2 months earlier, October, of $84 billion. The total for the entire year reached above $676 billion. Now, this was total trade surplus with all their trading partners. If we break it down by country or region, we can see that their trade surplus, bilateral trade surplus with the United States in December was $39 billion, which was a massive chunk of the total. The other close contender was the EU, who they had a trade surplus of $25 billion with, and only Australia did they have a trade deficit with, which was much smaller than all of the other surpluses combined. The reason why this is happening and breaking new records is because demand for exports from China just continued to grow. Massive strength and growth in demand for Chinese exports well beyond their own imports. So what is going on here? Because by the looks of it, initially it looks like China's getting rich off of everybody else in the world. They're sending out stuff and they are just collecting the cash. They are stacking cash from the rest of the world as they send stuff out. But wait, not so fast, because what are they getting in return? And let's focus now just on the China versus the US relationship. What are they getting from the United States? Well, they're getting dollars. Ultimately, what does it cost the United States to produce dollars? And I'm not talking about individuals and corporations who have to actually create value in order to get their hands on dollars. I'm talking about the source of the dollars themselves, which is the Federal Reserve. What does the Fed have to do to create new dollars? Nothing. They press a button. Dollars are something that are intrinsically worthless. And I know I've said before there's no such thing as intrinsic value. That's a video for another time. But ultimately, if you can create something, an unlimited quantity of something at will, then that means that if you are using that to exchange for something of value, like a good, which we are importing from China, then you're probably getting the good end of a deal. We are exporting dollars to the rest of the world, especially China, which are worthless pieces of paper, and in return we are getting real, actual stuff. But wait, there's more. We can't just stop there. We have to take it one step further and ask, what is China then doing with all of these dollars that they are accumulating? Well, it turns out that they are using these dollars to develop their infrastructure, create new and buy old commodity mines, buying up commodity stores, creating new and buying up old rare earth mines. And on top of all of that, they are also purchasing American stocks and American land and American real estate. So when you follow from start to finish, what's actually going on is China is giving consumable goods, trash, the stuff that ends up in dumps, to the rest of the world in exchange for paper money fiat that's intrinsically worthless, turning around and using that to buy up assets that are putting them in a very good position long term. And they're not just buying these assets within their own borders, they're buying them up all around the world. The United States and the rest of the world are voluntarily giving up ownership of real long-term assets in exchange for consumable trash. And so while yes, we might be printing worthless dollars and getting real consumable stuff in exchange, we are playing chess while China is playing Go, because they're turning around and using that to buy up long-term assets all around the world. And it doesn't look like this will be slowing down anytime soon. It looks like the entire world is content because the trend is strong, the growth it is pointing in one way. Demand for exports from China continue to grow year after year after year, as the rest of the world is content to exchange real assets for consumable goods. Times are changing, and it looks like our kids and grandkids will grow up in a world that looks very different from the one we grew up in, because throughout history, the ones who own the means of the production of wealth are usually the ones with the power. As always, really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.